Hi, I'm Dr. Leanne Kessler, a consultant specializing in science communication. It's Friday, July 1st, and it's time for your Fusion News Update. Stories today include 1. A big step towards fusion energy is hailed by a Seattle startup. 2. Out of gas. A shortage of tritium fuel may leave fusion energy with an empty tank. 3. UK developing regulatory framework for fusion. 4. Working on nuclear fusion is a moral obligation for this CEO. 5. Can a Seattle startup launch a fusion reactor into space? 6. AI to accelerate fusion R&D. I also have a couple of bonuses for you at the end. Stick around. 1. A big step towards fusion energy is hailed by a Seattle startup. FIA member Zap Energy is featured in this New York Times article, which also mentions the Fusion Industry Association. Zap Energy recently generated their first plasma in their device, FuseQ, which is designed to reach Q equals 1, the point at which the energy produced by the fusion reaction equals the energy put into the plasma. They also recently closed their Series C funding with $160 million. Zap Energy's design is called the Sheared Flow Z-Pinch and uses electric current running through the plasma itself to generate the compressing magnetic field, removing the need for the large electromagnets seen in most magnetic confinement fusion concepts. The Z-Pinch concept has been studied by fusion researchers for decades, but recent advancements will hopefully allow Zap Energy to better stabilize their fusion plasma. Benj Conway, the president of Zap Energy, said, "We think it's vital that fusion become part of our energy mix." 2. Out of gas. A shortage of tritium fuel may leave fusion energy with an empty tank. This article, published in Science, discusses the challenges associated with acquiring fuel for deuterium-tritium fueled fusion reactors. These DT fusion concepts rely on two isotopes of hydrogen, deuterium, which is naturally occurring, and tritium, which must be manufactured. Many fusion designs, including ITER and FIA member Commonwealth Fusion Systems, intend to use the DT fusion reaction to power their systems. This article digs into the issues in the tritium supply line that must be confronted by these designs, including tritium is radioactive and decays rapidly, the primary source of tritium is CANDU fission reactors, which are being decommissioned, and finally, breeding tritium in a future fusion reactor is a difficult and yet unproven concept. The article also mentions two other FIA members, TAE Technologies and Helion, both of which are using non-tritium fuels to avoid the complications of working with the isotope. However, these other fusion reactions can only occur at much higher temperatures, which creates another set of difficulties. Overall, this is an interesting read on some of the challenges in commercializing fusion power beyond the obvious physics. Supplying tritium for fusion reactors poses both technical and policy challenges for the fusion industry, and it's great to see engineers and scientists considering these issues. 3. UK developing regulatory framework for fusion. World Nuclear News reported that the UK government has determined that fusion energy will remain under the same regulatory bodies as fusion research, the Environment Agency and the Health and Safety Executive. This separates the regulation of fusion energy from nuclear fission power plants, which fall under the Office of Nuclear Regulation. The government will now take steps to codify this decision. 4. Working on nuclear fusion is a moral obligation for this CEO. This article about FIA member TAE Industries focuses largely on the history of Michael Bendenbauer, the CEO of TAE, and on the debate over whether the current surge of funding for fusion technologies makes sense. TAE, whose design uses a unique field reverse configuration, has recently demonstrated plasma stability for 35 milliseconds and is building a new device they believe will produce break-even after it is completed in 2025. Despite some of the skeptics, Bendenbauer says, "I wouldn't sit here wasting my time on this if I didn't absolutely believe we can do it." 5. Can a Seattle startup launch a fusion reactor into space? Fusion company and FIA member Avalanche Energy Designs has received U.S. Department of Defense funding to pursue their inertial electrostatic confinement fusion technology for use on a satellite to be launched in 2027. Inertial electrostatic confinement fusion uses a high-voltage grid to accelerate ions and generate fusion. The concept has been around for some time and has been used successfully as a source of high-energy neutrons. Avalanche's design hopes to optimize the grid shape to create ion bunches, which have higher density and last longer, increasing the probability of fusion occurring. The article quotes several fusion experts who are skeptical that the company will be able to launch a successful reactor to space in 5 years. 6. AI to accelerate fusion R&D. The IAEA has launched a 5-year coordinated research project to accelerate fusion research and development through the use of artificial intelligence and machine learning. There are 4 work packages with different focuses, and the project encompasses both magnetic and inertial confinement fusion designs. And now for our bonus fusion news this week. First, the fusion industry in 2022, report launch event in Brussels, Thursday, July 14th. The Fusion Industry Association is hosting a launch event for their 2022 report on the status of the global fusion industry and its impacts on climate change and more. The report launch is on July 14th. Whether or not you can attend the event, the results of this report will be significant for the future of many of the companies we talk about on this channel. Next, YouTube video on applying fusion science to geothermal energy. This video presents a plan to use millimeter wave technology for drilling boreholes to create expanded access to geothermal heat. This technology originated from fusion research at MIT's Plasma Science and Fusion Center. That's all for Fusion News this week. Have a great weekend and happy 4th of July to all our American viewers.